And how does Chinese medicine help you do that? And explain a little bit about Chinese medicine and how you were trained.
Sure. So a lot of people also don't realize how lengthy Chinese medicine degrees are. So my graduate program for Chinese medicine and acupuncture was 4 years full time, so no summers off, anything like that. And then I went back for an additional 2 years for my doctorate. So I studied healthy aging and longevity for my doctorate, and I wrote my thesis on epigenetics and specifically certain nutritional compounds on how they can be favorable for our genetic expression. But basically, the reason I love Chinese medicine is because it looks at all the people as we talk about, constitution, right? So everyone is individual. And the other thing that's very fascinating is they look at food and not supplements, but herbs and lifestyle practices. How is that going to impact the individual? And is it good for that particular body, right? So if the person's always cold, right? A lot of women are cold, and a little bit, we talk about more on the deficient side, where men, often they have more energy than women do, and they have energy that they could lose, where women, we're trying to gain energy. And so it's very interesting because we have a lot of foods and we look at that the same way. So that's why, someone is already cold all the time, the last thing they should be eating are smoothies and salads, right? Yeah. And that's pretty much the Western holistic nutritional diet, right? And especially if you look kind of like at veganism and things like that. So it's very deficient from our perspective in Chinese medicine. So, and the same, you have a guy that has a lot of heat, always sweating, so much energy, and let's say he's angry and irritable, the last thing he should be eating would be spicy food, which is going to create more heat and it's like gasoline on a fire that's already burning. So I love that because even in functional medicine, they are not looking at it at the same way with constitution. And this applies with intermittent fasting. I see all the time, right? Women are given these windows of eating that are the same as men. And that to me should be changed, right? And if you're already someone who's weak and tired, you really need to be very mindful of how you're doing intermittent fasting or keto or things like that. So I love it because it's another lens that I use to look at the person and figure out their specific protocol for them individually. Then I can add on their genetics, even more fine-tuned. And then I throw that in with how I would process and fill out their program for a pretty lengthy cellular detox from mold, or if they have Lyme disease or whatever might be ailing them.
Well, and the hot versus cold example you just gave, I mean, that makes sense, but I can honestly tell you, of all the functional medicine stuff that we practice, I never even thought about that, but it makes total sense.
It's as simple, even with, let's say you give someone, you say, or you hear, have ginger tea for if you're sick, right? Or you have arthritis or whatnot. But ginger tea is warming. And for somebody that has a fever, that's not what we would use in Chinese medicine. You would use a cooling herb, right? So it's really, to me, once I learned about this, and you learn that different, let's say, viruses or bacteria, they have a cold or a hot nature, you need to adjust the foods you recommend for the person. Like, would it be cold therapy or sauna, right? Heat therapy or cold. It's very interesting to me because it's not actually being spoken of in functional medicine at all, unless you're a Chinese medicine practitioner, and there aren't that many of us that combine the two.